Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Skincare Anarchy. This is Ekta, and I am very excited to introduce our guest today because it is definitely a line that is geared towards men, and I don't get the opportunity to have this conversation very often with, wonderful lines that are for our male audience. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce you guys to the founder of Cleverman, who is Carlos Barreto. So welcome to the show, Carlos. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
It's lovely to host you, and I would love to get started to get some sort of like background information about how you got involved in the beauty space and in just this whole area of the industry.
Okay. First of all, I'm from Colombia. So I began my career in Colombia when I was much younger. My first job was at Gillette, where I had to work with blades and razors and shaving. So that was like my first step, let's say, in male grooming. Yep. I worked on the Gillette and the other brands. And then I worked in Colombia, then I worked in Boston, where it used to be the headquarters. And then I moved back to Colombia, and I was going to move to Brazil when I came the opportunity to work for Kimberly Clark. So I moved to Kimberly Clark in Atlanta when I was working with feminine care. Some brands are Kotex and Depend and Poise. So it was a completely different category. And then I moved to Coca-Cola, which was a little bit of a different experience, a fantastic experience in the sense of working with a fantastic brand. I was working in the Coca-Cola brand team, great networking. And finally, I landed here in New York. So I worked as a global VP for personal care, then cosmetics, and and then I was finished managing all the Revlon brand and the Revlon brand portfolio a few years ago. So I had the chance to work in all the beauty industry, from cosmetics, hair color, beauty tools, professional. It was a fantastic experience. And then I say, what is missing? I work in all these categories, and I say, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father, my mother, they were entrepreneurs in Colombia, and my mother always has been my hero. And she always pushes me, hey, when you're gonna build your own business, then I say, okay, do it now, or I don't do it ever. So then I decide to jump from the cliff. and I decided to do it. And it takes a lot of courage and has been a tremendous experience. This is a kind of an amazing journey. The only thing maybe I could say I wanted to do this a little bit earlier in my career, because always you have like the comfort and the opportunity to have new challenges in companies. But I think that I was born to do this, and it has been very exciting. Some days are very challenging, some days are difficult, but also it's a great sense of accomplishment. Every new phase is very interesting, and I have been learning a lot. I never had I was having thinking that when you are in a job and you learn everything and everybody is beginning to ask you the questions, maybe it's the time to see somewhere else because you are not challenged, So I think that this experience has been very challenging, but very fulfilling. Everything that we do is and make happen. I think that this creates a great sense of accomplishment and learning, new experiences. So it has been very, very exciting.
That's awesome. I love that. And I agree with you. I think that, it's like almost as if with entrepreneurship, it's like now or never, and if you get an idea, you just have to jump in and just hope for the best. And, I completely agree with you. So I'm glad that you did, because we have a wonderful brand that came from it. So, thank you for doing that. I really, I want to actually really pick your brain, because um, you know, obviously this line is just so different, compared to all of the ones that I interview. And I want to ask about, where in terms of, like, everyone does market research or some sort of like consumer research before they start a line, or whatnot. So what was the process like for you in terms of like when you wanted to start the line? Like, did you have to do some homework, or like how did it all begin that way?
Okay, we began. Let me tell you a little bit about the brand. So our brand
Yeah.
is called Cleverman, New York, and it was born more thinking about that need for also the segment of men to have more choices, more products for, let's say, the 21st century. We began with all this area of male grooming, and over the time we have been evolving more to be aligned, for actually our target market is millennials, yeah, that help
Yeah.
them to, in all this process of aging, to help them to look good, to feel good about themselves. When people see in their mirror, they see what they feel inside. And we have been coming, we do a little bit, yeah, helping them
Yeah.
to look their best, so we can really bring some self-confidence of people inside. So our purpose is about making people feel good about themselves, people feel confident, people take the challenges. And the idea began there, and we began with all this process with hair and beard color. Our aspiration is to go in new categories that are more helping men to look at their best,
Yeah.
and we are in all that process of innovation and evaluating the categories, a growth path to go there. But we began with this category because it was very underserved. I turned 35 and I began to see some grays on my beard.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wanted to grow my beard. This is the true story. I wanted to grow my beard because it was so in fashion, but it was white, so I didn't want it to look like Santa Claus.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah,
began to beard color, and it was not that many options, and the
yeah,
product there
yeah,
didn't last. It lasted like 2 days. And also working on beauty, because I was working in hair color, was one of my categories at Revlon. I saw that the category was very interesting. It's just only one brand, it's few products. The products were not necessarily the same quality that you find in the female category. And I say, why not to launch a line, that brings the best technology, the best quality, the best product, the complete solution also for men.
yeah,
And is when we began with this specific first step, that it was about hair and beard dye for men. Also, I noticed that many of my friends were using the product, and they had
yeah.
complaints and the same issue that I had. Even I had friends in Colombia that use the product, and one of my friends, he comes here and he buys like 20 boxes of just for men, and he bring it home to have it in storage, because it's not that many products and many solutions there. So I think that we were coming to a market that had great opportunity. So this is how we saw it. We began to identify the opportunity there. And then when I decided to begin all this project, we did some marketing research. We studied consumers, understanding what they were their needs in terms of consumers. So we did some consumer research. Also, we review competition. So we saw a lot of the reviews in Amazon of the different competitors, strengths, weaknesses, and then we figured out little by little the product, what needed to be included, what was important, not important, and we launched it. Now that we launched it, we are learning more things. So we are learning what consumers like, don't like about our product. Actually, they like the formula, they like the packaging, they like some elements, but also identify some other elements that we want to improve and optimize, and it's always a continuous learning. So I think that all begins about looking at the opportunity, but also understanding how you can optimize and improve and make every day a better experience.
Absolutely. And, honestly, I wanted to highlight this because I really love that you did this, Carlos, is that the brand is very, very inclusive. And I am telling you, as a woman of color, when I first saw the website and I saw, like, you know what I mean, like the sample like the models on there, and like how you have like the quiz, the way it's set up, for example, for everyone listening, by the way, when you go onto the website, it's becleverman.com. When you go onto the website, you can take a quiz, and it's a very thorough quiz. And Carlos's team has designed to where they'll ask you, like, what kind of hair type do you have? How do you identify with it? And it's just so good, to see that, because it's like, do you have more Caucasian type of hair, more African type of hair, more Asian, and those kind of questions, it's very, very difficult to it's difficult to make people understand that matters. I can't tell you how many times, even as a woman, I've been to a salon, right? And so I'm Indian and my hair is thicker, so it's thicker than Caucasian hair, but it's like not, as thick as maybe African American hair. But it's very difficult to make people understand that you have to approach different hair types in different ways when it comes to dyeing and, like coloring and stuff like that. So I really like that you have that, like, off the bat, you are being very transparent with your consumers, you're just getting to the point, and I really, really like that about the brand. So how was that? When you were setting all of that up, was that something that you knew you wanted to do from the beginning, or was it more of like some market research, or something that went behind that?
No, I think first of all, it's in our mission as a brand. We want it to
Yeah.
be 100% inclusive. We want it to be also, our mission is about personalized products. So we personalize everything. We personalize gloves, we personalize the kind of brush that we give you, depending the length of your hair. We personalize the timing even, yeah. So it's people that 7 minutes, 10 minutes. When you see the instructions sometimes in hair color for women, for men, you say, oh, you need to think about 5 minutes more or 3 minutes more. No, we give you the right time, yeah? Or we give you the right treatment. In the treatment, we understand that African American hair needs a little bit more nourishment, moisturizing, because we get more fragile, yeah, at some point of time. So we try to understand all those things and create a product that can be personalized for everybody, yeah. So our product can create even up to 10,000 options we can generate with all our algorithm, not just only in color, but also in the treatment, in the timing, in the kind of brush. So that is our mission. We wanted to have a product for everybody, yeah? And that also should be translated in the imagery, in the models. And to be honest, this is like the base today for every brand, I think that we should start there, and to be inclusiveness should be a foundation of any brand in the 21st century.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree with you. But unfortunately, Carlos, a lot of people don't think like us. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into like a drugstore or something, and let me just give you an example. For someone, so I have like black hair, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, and I'm also, by the way, I'm a millennial, so like I could really I can have this conversation with you very openly, because I remember being I started to gray very early because my father actually I have his hair, and he grayed very early, so genetically I was predisposed to it. And I remember when I started graying, I was like in my mid 20s, maybe late 20s. And so for me, I was very, very scared in terms of like when I would go to the drugstore or go to the store, look for dyes, but there was one color and it said black. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. There's like there's so many different shades of black hair. So, when you, for example, everyone listening out there, I want to highlight this, because when you go onto the website, they don't just have, Cleverman doesn't just have like black. It says, like it gives you shades like black, natural black or soft black, that it's like those details are so meaningful, because I remember the trauma of not being able to find my correct color, for hair color. And so those things are very, very meaningful. And I think that really helps, for me as a consumer, like look at your brand and think, the homework is there. You guys really thought this out because depending on what ethnicity we are, or even if you have black hair, all black hair is not the same. So you have to keep that in mind. And I think that this is something you only see in like salons. If you go to a salon and then you have a professional analyzing the color of your hair, they're going to consider these things. But to see it in a brand that you can buy and then use at home, and then it's going to come out the way you want, that's a really, really special thing. So I really like that about your brand. I'm really happy that you made it the way you did in that aspect.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And that was our objective. And specifically in the male market, you see, it's like, that was one of my issues, like when I was doing the dye of my beard, because when I went to the supermarket and it was just only 5 shades, or black, brown, blonde, or sandy brown. Okay, I'm like in the middle. So
Yeah.
for men, it's less options. I think that also as all, as it is inclusiveness, also in the area of, let's say, grooming or beauty, not to say men, the men beauty is also that need to have more shades, more colors. Also, as we are doing, as Fenty does really well, that came with so many shades for makeup and foundation, Also in the area of men, that is less developed. Today you have always 5, 6 options, and also men become in different shades, in different colors, with different tones, with different, some guys also in our pros, we're trying to do more partial coverage, so you can keep your salt and pepper, reduce it. So options, I think, customization, personalization, inclusion, all those are areas for the brands of the future.
Yeah.
So now we were super restricted because we used to live in a retail environment that has a shelf space and just give you 5 boxes because that's the productivity that you can have. Now, because we are direct distribution, because we have a different business model, we can approach things in a very different way that allow us to be more personalized, that give consumers what they really want, and drive products and create products and solutions that they really love and they can really engage and they can really connect. Or also they can connect with us and tell us, we just want to do this little change, and we can do it for them. So I think that that's the future of the relationship, how brands are going to be interacting with consumers. That is more personal, more intimate, more a relationship where it's 2 ways, not just only one way.
Yes, I agree. I 100% agree. And I think that, you're really making this is a movement in itself because, for example, I just want to, I like to educate the listeners as much as I can because, they need to understand that, the product, by the way, guys, when you get these products, they're not just hair dye, it's very important you understand that because it comes with things like barrier cream that's going to prevent staining, which is a huge problem for people who have very dark hair and we want to color our hair, especially with men and beards and stuff, so it's like they have everything in the line is created to really give you the top-notch experience of coloring. So it's not about just, okay, slap some color on your hair and then get rid of the grays. No, it's this idea of, what Carlos was saying is this customization, this personalization, and this feeling of, I can trust this brand because everything has been thought about, like for example, the gloves come with it, and also the fact that you guys have options. If you don't want to be the person that, colors their hair and everything is gone, all of a sudden all the grays are gone, you can have that option. You can do this gradual program where you're gradually dyeing the hair and it's gradually, coloring your hair. So there's many options here that are available. Even the way the brush is designed, it's a dual-ended brush. You have a comb and then you have the brush side. So there's a lot of details. And I always say this, Carlos, I always say the real masteries in the details, right? So it's like, when you see a brand and you see that they've put the time and the effort into things like, like these little tiny things that we don't really think about, that's what really makes a brand stand out to me as a consumer. And so even like when I look at this and I look at even just going through the website, when you look at the website and you see that, all of these aspects, you realize, okay, this brand has done their homework. They really know their consumer. They really know how to target the consumer, how to give the consumer what they want. And also, one good thing I wanted to really point out to everybody listening is that men and women both that have darker hair, we usually have more of it. It's thicker, especially those of us who are from like, Latin America or from India or from all these Middle Eastern countries. And, we have a lot of hair, I can tell you honestly. So the product that you're getting 30% more product than your typical drugstore brand. So that's something, it's a small detail that you might miss, but it's actually a big deal because you're getting that little bit extra that you need and you don't have to think about it. You know what I mean? So those are the things, and those little things, and that's why I say, details matter, because when you're using a product, the worst thing is running out and then not having enough to cover everything, right? Like
Yeah.
that's terrible. So I want to move on because I know that, Carlos, I know you've created a truly, very, very well-rounded brand. I know you have some great ingredients. You've got the argan oil in there. You've got walnut oil, you've got this 100% vegan, cruelty-free, ethos in the brand. So I want to ask, how was that, in creating this? Because I don't know how that works in terms of hair care products, the whole vegan thing and all that. So can you explain that to us a little bit, the process?
Okay, that's also about the values of the brand. As we wanted to be inclusive, we wanted to create a product that has the best possible ingredients for you, not just only in terms of formula, but also things that we can add, to the product. So there are two pieces there for me that are important. One is that the product works, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's not just only about putting ingredients there, that are good or nice, but if the product doesn't work, then we have a problem, So
Yeah.
one of the things that we worked with our R&D team, and we have a great partner that we produced the product in Italy. We worked in this formula for 2 years. We tried few formulas, didn't work because we wanted to do something even more, natural as possible. And it took us time. It took us energy. It took us maybe 6, 7 formulations to make it work. On the other side, we wanted the formula to work really fast. This formula works between 5 and 10 minutes maximum. So to make it that happen, and with all the parameters and the additional ingredients, the vegan, the organic ingredients, took us some energy and some time. But we came together actually the day that we got the formula was working well, and our colorists say the formula is great, is working. We tested that with 300 consumers, is when I say, okay, we have now a viable company, and now we are going to invest in the rest of the stuff. So the formula is the core. We wanted a formula that worked well with consumers, but also that was up to our values as a company. And in the future, we want to continue, doing more things, improving more things, making things even better. So
you need to open a salon. I'm telling you, you need to open a salon franchise.
Yes,
we need that.
We have been thinking about that. It's in our pipeline, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know why I say that? You know why I'm saying that? Because in America, in American culture for men's hair grooming, there's this idea of like the barber shop, as you know. And the barber shop is a place of not only grooming, but it's a place for men to just really just be men, They talk, they chat, they share stories. But in all of that, as much as that's a wonderful thing, during that whole process, things get missed, right? So somebody might be, men are more hesitant to ask for things like, I want my beard to be touched up, or I want something that's going to help my skin. I have sensitive skin. So make sure you're using something that's good for those kind of questions and those kind of details. Unfortunately, our culture and our society is still catching up with, allowing men to be more open and to feel more comfortable, right? So it's like we need that. We need this space to be more comfortable, and I think your brand is definitely in the right direction. It's paving that path, but I think it would be brilliant if you opened your own, your salon franchise, because we need more places that are geared towards men. There's nothing wrong with that. As women, we have a million salons to pick from. Men have like 5 barber shops in a city. so so
It's
it's
so
very,
true.
very,
It's so true. And
yeah.
we have been thinking a little bit about that. We began some conversations with some salons, not salons, more barber shops here in New York, to see what could be a right business model to work with them. One great thing is that we have now a celebrity colorist in our team, yeah, and he has been working with celebrities, male and female, in Hollywood, and also now we have that as a part of the team that can help us to really connect to that segment that could become great ambassadors for our brand. Our product is very professional. It's designed by a company that produces professional products,
Yeah.
And our R&D team also, it's coming from the professional channel. So our product is a professional-like formula, which will work really well in that kind of environment. Also, the fact that works in just only 5 minutes, can reduce that stigma. And definitely, I see great opportunity in that specific segment and channel.
Yeah, and you can even broaden beyond just, just hair care. You can, because men, see, here's the thing. I always tell my friends, I have some male friends who are very hesitant, about anything that has to do with like going and getting any kind of self-care done. And so one day, I want to tell you the story. One day I
Yeah.
had a friend, okay, a college friend, old friend, and I told him, I said, you're coming with me and we're getting pedicures. And he looked at me like I am the craziest person on the planet. He's like, I'm a man, I'm not getting a pedicure. And I was like, are you insane? We all have feet. We all deserve care. Like
Yeah,
I
we
had to
wasn't there to have a little
explain.
bit of time for ourselves.
Yeah. And I had to
And
explain this to him. I had to explain to him that, listen, just because you're a man doesn't mean you can't have these nice, little moments of self-care and let someone pamper you. And, just so this is a very, very deep conversation. I think, that it needs to be unfolded. Many layers are here. So I think that this is much needed, in the beauty space. I think your brand is a wonderful step in the right direction. And I think that, we can definitely, I would love to see Cleverman do a lot more than just hair care,
yeah, we are in that direction. That's our goal.
Yeah.
I had a moment of inspiration. I want to share with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
when we were like launching all this line, talking about the formula, we tested the product with 300 guys, and we had to find people, who wanted to do hair color, beard color. They didn't know what color they were gonna do. So actually, some of these people were like 45, 50 years old. They were people that sometimes they have not necessarily easy lives,
Yeah.
and yeah, and we were paying them to hair color, to beard color, so it's people that is willing to do that, it's not like an everybody person or the doctor or the lawyer. No, it's people that is willing to do that to get $50 or $60, in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what's on the testing of the formula. So when we did that and we used the color, we did some transformation of these people, so we changed the hairstyle, we colored their hair, we colored their beard. It was so good for them. Everybody was I can say you like 99.9% of the guys were super happy about the result. But the most interesting thing it was about their self-confidence and how they feel so good about them looking at themselves and looking at themselves good again, because they didn't take care of themselves. They didn't
Yeah.
they didn't enjoy themselves. But when they look at in the mirror, they saw the change, they saw them looking good. Many of them say, okay, I'm gonna go to night of bar, I'm gonna ask for that job that I didn't do, I wanna go with a date with my wife, I feel energetic again. And these people is 45, 50 years old. By the way, we're gonna live
Yeah.
100 years
Yeah.
with the medicine, with all the things that are happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are in the middle of your life. So I think that the fact that you look at yourself and you look yourself more happy, more confident about yourself, that you can reflect that internal energy that you still have outside, and give and bring a little bit of that self-confidence back to you. I think that is a tremendous value that every man can have. And in that note, after all that experience, I began to investigate more about all the idea of self-confidence of men and mental health. And it's one of the big challenges that we're living in US is that we don't talk that much about men. We don't talk about the issues that they have, And
Yes.
one of the biggest causes of the biggest rate of suicidal is happening among men. Yeah, and it's about the self-confidence. It's a lot of pressure, as it is pressure on women. It's also pressure on men about success, being number one, getting the right success. It's a lot of pressure for success, to be number one, to be a provider, in many ways.
Yes.
And that pressure, when you cannot manage that pressure, you go into a really depressive path too. So I think that men too, it's something that we don't talk that much, and it's also a good opportunity to discuss about those issues, about mental health, support them, and bring them this idea, a little bit of this idea of self-confidence that I'm not saying just only about my product, but my product can help, or our products can help a little bit in that idea of I can still feel young, I can still feel energetic, I feel happy about myself, I feel happy looking at my hands, I'm looking good, I'm feeling myself, and I think that we could do a little bit more. And I think that when you are talking about those taboos, about men to be taking care of themselves, is part of the issue, because I think that men don't pamper themselves. They don't look at themselves in the mirror and they see the good side of them. And I think that sometimes brands, will have a bigger purpose behind not just only doing products that sell, but also helping people in all that more holistic way. And I would love our brand to contribute in that way in the long term, and to be partnering more with organizations and NGOs, etc., that can help us to have that big.
I love that. I love everything you just said. And honestly, just because you said that, I'm going to make sure that every guy friend I have gets something from Cleverman, because honestly, there are very few men that I can have this conversation with, and this is such an important topic you've brought up. And I can tell you, as a doctor, as a medical professional, I 100% agree with you. This is a serious thing within the male community, is that one, men don't like to talk about problems. It's the stigma of a man shouldn't cry, or a man shouldn't express his emotions, or a man has to be strong all the time. And it's a bunch of crap, if you ask me, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we all have emotions, and we all have feelings, and we all need self-confidence. And I really like that you brought this up, because this conversation has to be had, and it has to be brought up, because let me be honest with you, when I log into Instagram, I see 15 memes about some girl going to a hair salon and she feels great about herself. And she's, we're putting up these pictures of women feeling great about themselves because we just went to a hair salon. We got a new haircut. We feel great about ourselves. Why don't I see that with men? Why don't I log into social media and I see, a man is on, his Instagram or his TikTok or something, and he's saying, hey guys, I went to the salon today. I feel really great today. That little thing, it made me feel good about myself. You don't see that, because every time a man does that, our society is going to push him down and say, you shouldn't be doing that. That's girly, or that's not, and I hate that stuff. I really do. And I'm very passionate about it as well. And I think, these kind of things, and that's why another reason why, I really want to highlight this brand, because you're providing, you're providing salon grade product for something that, for men to use at home. And this is why it's a stepping stone, right? Everything has, all change happens in little increments, in my belief, and so, like, by providing this, it's going to open up this discussion of, wait a minute, why are there not more professional salons for men only, and why is that a taboo? Why do we have to, explain that, or, put all these, like, extra marketing things around it? Why can't we just do it and then everybody's okay with it? That needs to be addressed in the beauty community, absolutely. And I think that, we need to see more male founded brands that are geared towards men and to gear towards the self-confidence and self-perception. Because, Carlos, honestly, I was having this conversation the other day with somebody, and I'm very concerned about the generations coming up, the young men that are growing up now, because they are not able to, in my opinion, they're not finding a way to properly express themselves. You see what I'm saying? So, like, they're not, they can't look at, like, they don't have an example of, like, okay, this is what it means to be body positive. And me, and, I had this interview a while ago, Michael Kranz, he actually is, he was at Hearst, and he was really high up there in Hearst, and we had this conversation, and me and Michael were, or Michael and I were talking about how, this idea of positive body image and positive, like, self-confidence in men, it is completely ignored by the beauty industry. No one is talking about it, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to write articles about it. There, I mean, think about just the magazines. There's, like, maybe two magazines for men. There's men, off the top of my head, I can think of Men's Health and GQ. And then, like, that's it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's a big, yeah.
yeah, I agree about that. And I think that also we are talking about, many brands talk about all this masculine toxicity and the image of men, but I think that we need to do something about, since the beginning, so from the core. If it is self-confidence, if it is a better perception about yourself, I think that many of those things are also going to cascade in that way, because yes. I think that that's also part of the issue, is the insecurities. It is the challenge of all this pressure, that also it could be translated in really bad things too. So I think that we need to create a more positive image about yourself, of who you are. And I think that that will contribute. I'm not saying that that's a solution, no? I'm saying it will contribute for some men to feel more confident, and they need to feel loved, and you need to love yourself. It's about love about yourself. And I think that that's nothing bad about love yourself. I think that loving yourself, feeling good about yourself, I think that will help you, in your inner core, to have a better reflection and to have a better behavior and to be a more inclusive, accepting, receptive person. I think that all begins inside. Like everybody says, the first thing that you need to do is love yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. And I wanted to say, I'm so honored to have had this conversation with you. You are a phenomenal human being, I can tell, and your brand is beautiful. I love what you've created, and I am a huge supporter, so I everyone listening, you need to go check out this brand. It's, again, the website is thecleverman.com. Check it out. Really, look into it. Look at the details, guys. I mean, this is, Carlos, your team, you guys have really done something magical, and I love it. And, just to add a little piece to what you said, I just want to put some facts out there for people that really support what, Carlos and I have been talking about, is that, as I am Indian, like I said, and I remember, my father still reads the news, right, that comes out of India, and you will not believe, there are so many young men who are engineering students or medical students, and they end up committing suicide. You know why? Because they fail one exam, and they're scared because they they're going to let down their family, or their family's not going to see them as a provider, or their family's not going to see them as strong enough. And this is a real problem in the world, and we have to do something about it. And if something like, taking care of yourself, if something small and these small things that we do day to day can help anyone, then I'm all for it, and I love what you stand for, Carlos. I really do. I love it. So, I'm a huge supporter. So again,
Thank you
everyone
very much.
listening, yes, no, I mean it. I really mean it. And everyone listening, I really urge you. This is a great time to gift that special man in your life. Get him a nice set, and I think he'll really like it. I think I'm gonna get my dad one actually. So, so I think. Yeah. And so, I really urge everybody, go check it out. I'm going to tag everything in the podcast episode, art for this. And, I would love to have you back anytime, Carlos, anytime at all.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. This has been a great time.
Yes, likewise. And everybody listening, I'll be back next time. Thank you.